everything is scanned. So birth certificates and immunizations were already in the district system. So we wanted to also remind secretaries of that. Then we got some really good feedback with secretaries that honestly we just didn't even think through of also need immunization updates. So we'll be wording this a little bit differently next year. But this was step one of our transition plan to really try to, have a way that we could share that, hey, this little one has a student ID number. Don't forget that, and please don't create a duplicate. So this was like step one of our kindergarten transition plan. And then we had all these lovely steps of, face-to-face meetings and how we were going to share information about the child. And we had gotten approval from because in our district, because we're so big and we have so many layers, everything has to go up before it can come down. So we'd gotten the approval through GEA and through all that we needed to be able to have the end of the year kindergarten teacher PLC meeting would actually be with the preschool teacher so that we could sit down and have some face-to-face meetings. And then all of this happened. So we decided, so on the next slide, we thought we still wanted some way, if we can't have face-to-face meetings, to be able to at least share some of the great things that our 4-year-olds learned and that they were coming with. So all of our JED preschool teachers are filling this out for our transitioning, well, they're filling it out for the 3-year-olds to just home to the parents, but these will go to the kindergarten teachers at the school, just so the kindergarten teacher has an idea of, as a preschooler, here's some things that I learned, here's some of the things I'm good at. And, we wanted them to know that every one of these kids will have something we still are hoping they can focus on. So what they want to continue working on. And then my favorite thing to do in school is. So we were going to send a copy of this home to the parents, again, just to try to keep some of that, encouragement to the parents so that they could see that and then also be able to share that with the kindergarten teacher. So it was kind of our incredibly phased down plan of what we were hoping to do and what we're full on planning on doing next year. So, but that was just a piece that we did. So that's about as much as we got to do with kindergarten transition since all of our face-to-faces got canceled. But we at least decided it's one step that we didn't do last year that we got to do this year, and now next year we'll just continue on. So anyway, I'm interested to hear if we have any feedback from kindergarten teachers on these as they get them. So. And this one, this was a bright spot we started last year, and this is something that we will be continuing into perpetuity. So with our district, they'll do what they call, our foundation does the Excel Award, and they have some other awards that go out where you can nominate teachers. The problem is most of the time it's only contract teachers that can be nominated for those. With all of our lead and assistant teachers, they're hourly employees. So we were finding a lot of times that parents would nominate them, but then they couldn't go any further in the process. So last year we decided to start what we called the Summit Award to recognize excellence in preschool education. And so a couple years ago, we created a mascot, that's the word I'm looking for. So the hedgehog is our preschool mascot. So anyway, so this award, we start in March and we print these flyers. We send them home with all the parents. We put them out in school, we put them out in our office here to really encourage people to nominate any of our preschool staff members. So it could be from a contract person to some of our office staff. It could be anyone. To be able to just really say, hey, here's something that I appreciate the preschool staff members doing. So then we have a whole process we go through after we get these nominations. We worked with our Ed Foundation community to create the Ed Foundation to create this process. It mirrors the process they do for the contract staff. So after people are nominated, then we send them a congratulations email out and say, hey, we would love you to continue this process. And we give them a few questions to answer about, basically our questions are all around high quality preschool markers is what are, because we're wanting to hear how can they speak to what we consider excellence in preschool education. So then after we get those nominations back, we form a committee with our leadership team and do some different scoring rubrics. So the coach and coordinator that are working with the teacher get to fill out a scoring rubric, and then we have a committee that does a scoring rubric on the questions. Anyway, we have a full process we go to, but in the end, we end up awarding 3 Summit Awards. So we started last year, and it was a huge success. We've just decided our nominees. We've just finished our scoring process for this year. So in the midst of our craziness, we are going to do, we've just talked with the principals, we just got some emails back, just talked to the principal, and we're going to kind of do a drive-by presentation at the schools. So we invite their families to it, and so the husbands are now busily calling their children, and we've worked with the principals to be able to figure out a way to socially distance, and so we'll be presenting them outside. The principals will be able to be there. Our leadership team, a good portion of us will be there, and so we have kind of a little obelisk. Again, our Ed Foundation is fabulous. They had some donations from OC Tanner that OC Tanner didn't want anymore, so we glad that, yeah, us over here, we'll take any hand-me-down. So we're able to give them a really nice obelisk, and then we'll do flowers and balloons and a little bit of swag that we get donated. Anyway, so we'll be doing that next week. So that is a bright spot that we've been able to do along the way, that it's just been fun to be able to recognize people and the tremendous amount of effort and dedication they have to preschool excellence. So that's another fun one. So that'll be a fun way to be able to end our year amidst all the craziness. So those are our 3 bright spots that we're going to continue on in the craziness with all the rest of you.
Thanks, Nanette. I love that. That's super cool. Anybody have any questions for Nanette? Okay. I put in the chat, but I just want to make it known that I am recording this. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, so that anybody that can't watch it right now can watch it later. So you've all been warned that you're being recorded. And so we're going to move on. So the next one we have is severe. So Madeline, if you want to unmute and turn your camera on, that'd be great.
Okay. So in our school district, we have 7 classrooms with 2 sessions each, so 14 different classes available for students. And we can go to the next slide. So I just included our enrollment statistics. We've got about 219 students, approximately 50% special education students, of course, mostly speech. We have 1 self-contained classroom with 2 sessions. 26.9% of our students are attending through the expanded student access grant, so they're 4-year-olds, and then 22% are full tuition paying students, and then 1% are through Title I funds. And then we can go to the next one. One thing we've been doing this year is celebrating progress and accomplishments. A program-wide goal that we had is response to intervention through the PEEP testing and our We Can assessment testing at the beginning of the year. We identified the students that were lowest performing or maybe needing a little more intervention, and we decided to have those students maybe come in a little bit early, like our tier 2, interventions. And we just had small groups, and we would have those kids come in, work on specific things with those kids. Once kids made gains, we'd switch up groups to set goals for other kids maybe needing other interventions in different areas. And we found that to be just a huge thing this year. All of our teachers have loved doing that. So we plan to do that again next year. So we either had them come throughout the week a half hour early, or even on Fridays a little bit early for some instruction in small groups. Then we can head to the next slide. Some other things to celebrate during this soft closure, learning through COVID. We have had a Google Classroom just district-wide, and our teachers have been recording some awesome lessons. I've included one right there in the middle. That is Laura Williams, one of our lead IAs, and she has been doing some lessons. She was in charge of social emotional learning, so I had her do lessons from zones of regulation, and she just did some amazing lessons that were great. I've had lots of comments. Our teachers have delivered packets to homes. We've done Google and Zoom meetings with students. Speech, OT, and PT services have been delivered virtually through Zoom and Google Meet. We've provided different task boxes and things for like fine motor skills for OT services, that type of thing. And then we can jump to the next slide there. I don't know, are you able to play that or no? Maybe not. Anyways, she's just,
Fine. Let me see if it'll.
it's okay if you can't. I'll just describe. Anyway, some of her lessons are, she just spends about, 10 or 15 minutes on just the different emotions that we have and ways of expressing them, and that we all have different emotions, and it's okay to be angry, but what can we do with that anger, that type of thing. So that's been a good component during this time because it's been challenging for a lot of families. So I've liked adding that to our regular curriculum with the language and the literacy and the math and all of that. So go ahead and flip to our next one. We've also had virtual field trips. In one of our small towns, one of the farmers, we would usually go to his farm for a field trip, but we couldn't do that. So he ended up recording everything, and I FaceTimed him to show him how to put it on YouTube. And he was such a great sport. He made all these videos for us, and we put them on our Google Classroom, and they were really neat. And then even our speech therapist, she's on the one with the tractor, and she has a farm, and she also did a lot of videos for us that way. So the kids loved seeing that, and it just went right along with the themes that we had in our weekend curriculum. So we can go ahead and switch to the next screen. So that leads us to, we do use the weekend curriculum in our school district. It's implemented in each classroom, and the teachers, they lead it through their instruction and guided practice with opportunities for productive, purposeful play to promote the development of literacy, language, numeracy, and general cognitive, social, and emotional functioning. And of course, our students make great gains in oral language skills throughout the school year. They learn phonological awareness skills and phonics skills. They learn concepts of print, pre-writing, and numeracy skills throughout the year. And we love that curriculum. And we use the assessments throughout the year. And we're also part of the Utah Autism Project. So we use the STAR program in our classrooms with our lower functioning kiddos. It's actually good for all of our kiddos. But with this project, there's a 3-day training that they provide and 10 days of coaching with a BCBA that comes to us from Grand Junction, Colorado. And in the STAR program, there's ABA therapy, discrete trial training, pivotal response training, teaching functional routines, and academic learning. If you guys use that program, I've seen lots of our kiddos with autism make a lot of progress with it. So we are loving it. So yes, and then kindergarten transition plans. This year we filled out a form that someone shared with me at the Kindergarten Summit conference. And we filled that out for every student, including just our regular ed students, to share with the kindergarten teachers. And we also usually have our kindergarten students take a little field trip to the kindergarten classrooms. But this year we just decided to make videos of the kindergarten teachers so they could introduce themselves. And, this year it just kind of threw everything out of, the norm. But parents were able to stop by the elementary schools and pick up the registration packets and do that. But we're still doing virtual transition meetings with all of our SPED parents and some of our regular ed parents if the kids have behavior plans. But we've enjoyed having that common transition form with the positives and the things that the kids might struggle with, and even identifying if there's attendance issues. I think that's important to note too. So that's been helpful. And then the next one, family engagement. We have monthly calendars we send home, newsletters sent home, parent-teacher conferences. We have phone calls. We use, of course, the apps that we send messages to parents all the time. We have a family support center here in our area, so there's free parenting classes, so we send those flyers home to parents. We also have a psychologist in town that offers free parenting classes for parents of kids that may be defiant, so that's super helpful. And we just try to keep the parents informed of community resources available to them, like Utah Behavioral Services, and we have another ABA company in town. So I just try to get that to parents when their kids are just young so they can get those services right out of the gate instead of waiting years to get those. And then what we need help with, of course, finding more funding. And then this year we are hiring another teacher, and I need someone with an early childhood special ed degree, you know, special ed teachers, and that's a degree that not a lot of people have. And it's a half-day position, so getting someone to take the position has been really challenging. So that's a struggle. And then engaging adult learners in professional development, that's kind of tough. Incentivizing attendance for parents for kids with poor attendance, that's been a struggle this year. So I think next year I'm going to give students a raffle ticket each year, and I'll let the parents know at the beginning of the year that they'll be in line to win a great big prize at the end of the year if they miss less than one day per month, or one day, just one day. That's it. That's all they can miss each month. And then at the end of the year, maybe they can win like a great big basket with $100 gift card to Walmart or something, because it's a parent problem, not a kid problem, but it sure is rough. So there's a lot of attendance issues, and I'm sure you guys see that as well. But that's all I have. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Madeline. That was great. I love the virtual field trips. Those are so cute, and that you got the community involved. Nan said that too, that was awesome.
It's been fun.
Does anybody have any questions for Madeline?
Madeline, this is Nan from Granite. Would you mind sharing the transition form you're talking about? I don't know if I remember seeing that one at the training. Would you?
Sure. It was someone that worked for Head Start in Cedar City. She was just sitting right next to me in the meeting, and she shared it with me then. And I thought it was a good form, so we've used that with all of our students, but I can share that. Sure.
Yeah, Madeline, if you want to send that to me, then I can post it on Schoology, and I can throw it in the Google Drive too.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
You bet.
Sean said she loves the idea of a raffle, and I have heard of that before too, that even if it's like a $10 or $15 gift card that you do monthly, that kind of will help with the attendance as well. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to Jordan. So I don't know which, is it Jill it's gonna be talking for us?
Yeah, no, I was just going to introduce, Rochelle is one of our members of our leadership team. She's been instrumental, been in the program a long time, has a lot of vision, and knows where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed. So she's going to take the lead on this one.
Hello, everyone, from home, right? It's been an interesting challenge of a year to try and kind of navigate the last little while. I'm so impressed by our teachers. They're just doing such amazing things, so creative. You can go ahead, Jessica, and go to the next slide. So we are celebrating lots of things and accomplishments this year. Probably one of the biggest items that we're accomplishing is actually that we have grown. We are focusing on trying to get preschools out to, sorry about that. We are trying to expand so that we have an inclusive preschool classroom in every elementary school. And we're also celebrating our teacher training and support. We do very specific professional development for our veteran staff, and then also specific training for our new teachers. They attend monthly trainings to help them to be empowered with knowing how to create a high quality preschool classroom, and our coaches support with that as often as they can. We do a lot of parent involvement. We have monthly program newsletters that go out to all of our families that include different types of behavior strategies for the home, different ideas regarding educational activities that they can do at home. And a lot of our class teachers have also started sending out newsletters, and they're sending out calendars to try and get parents involved with activities that they can do in the home that match with our curriculum and the investigations that we're doing in the classroom. We have really focused this year on our kindergarten transition process, and it's been wonderful to create a team that includes not only our preschool staff, but also district staff, which includes kindergarten teachers and our teacher specialists on an elementary level. We're really trying to help so that there's a continuum of services from preschool teachers and the knowledge that they have regarding those students. Ideally, they're going to the school they're already attending. We're able to collaborate and pass that information on to the kindergarten teachers so that they have greater ability to kind of meet that child where they're at when they come in the class for kindergarten. They can already have information on how to group their kids together, because we are sharing the developmental observation tool, the DOT, with them, and that our teachers are meeting together to be able to do that. Of course, we've had to work through some of the challenges with COVID, but we're encouraging our teachers to still have those meetings with kindergarten teachers through Zoom and different ways. We are surviving and really thriving through COVID-19. We have a teacher that is doing Haggerty groups. We have most of our teachers that are doing their large group for all of their kids. We have a teacher that's actually doing groups 4 days a week so that she can offer different options for parents. And we are continuing to get, of course, lots of information back from our parents that they really enjoy that. Okay, next slide. Like I mentioned, we are so excited about our continued expansion. This has been one of Jill's visions, and it's been wonderful to have her with us and be able to really get a preschool involved in or at most of our schools. We're going to continue to do that. And what we've found is that now our parents are really becoming more a part of their community school. They love to be able to take their preschoolers to the same place that their older children are and be involved in every aspect of the school. That kindergarten transition team has been instrumental in really eliminating some misunderstandings and also empowering students to end up in the right places. It's giving those kindergarten receiving teachers more information about the students coming that still do have an individualized education plan or program, and really helping the teachers to have the summer to look at that. Our parenting classes, we're always looking to expand those, and we have provided those on a program level. We have offered more flexibility in that schedule this year, but we've also expanded those, and we have teachers that are doing those through the classroom and the local schools too. So that the parents don't have to come to a program level, and we're starting to record some of those that so parents can access those easier. Okay, next slide. We're always happy to help, but we always love help too. We're happy to help with professional development for teachers, new teacher training, parenting classes, kindergarten transition process. And then we have expanded our instructional coaches. We have really focused a lot on trying to get our coaches out into the classroom so that teachers feel like they're connected, because they are at isolated schools, and they feel like they have someone that they can share ideas and also get support and brainstorm with. We are in the process of learning more about the developmental observation tool, the DOT. We really want to be able to use that more on an administrative level, to be able to use those reports for not only kind of looking at the areas that we want to focus on, but also helping us to identify what we're calling some building blocks that can be focus areas for our coming years, so that we're continuing to provide as a program what all of our students may need. And I just hit that We really want to expand our use of that. And so we're excited to get more help with how to use that system. We were going to do a lot of that this last little while, and everything has kind of changed. So that's what we're focused on.
Thanks so much, Rochelle. That was great. Does anyone have any questions for Rochelle or Jill? Alrighty. Well, you guys know how to find her if you do have questions. I just sent her an email later on. So we'll keep going. So first I wanted to follow up with all of you. If you attended Roundtable last month, we talked about some happiness strategies, and you were supposed to pick one and try to be better at it. So I want you to think about if you've done that. You can add in the chat if you've implemented one and how it went. If you're like me, you likely forgot, so that's okay too, and you can try to be better again. I've added them back in the Google Drive, and I think they're posted on the Schoology site, so you can look over those. But we just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. This is a cute little self-care bingo. So coming off the weekend, hopefully you've hit a few of them. And so I want you to have a look at the bingo chart and think how many you can mark off right now. And then maybe how many you think you'll be able to do by the end of the week. So share in the chat if you achieved one. I like if you went outside for a walk or some challenge, some negative thoughts, had fun, did a hobby. Just feel free to go in the chat and add some things that you did. Or if you have a goal to achieve one of these ones within the next couple of days. I think this, again, I said this last time, but I'll say it again, that if we all come out mentally healthy at the end of this, that's the most important thing. We can catch up on everything else. We just need to make sure that our mental health and the mental health of our staff is our top priority. The kids will catch up. We can, catch up on professional development. We want to make sure that we're supporting our teachers and getting enough that they want to come back next year. Rochelle, I love that you got half dressed, as did I. Leanne says their staff got some prizes for playing this bingo, but she didn't even get a bingo rose. So Leanne, work on that. Long run, love it. Brush my teeth, awesome. Anyway, I think it's just a cute way to look over and make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because we're in a crazy time right now, and I think it's normal for all of us to have some bad days. I think everybody's feeling those. So don't be hard on yourself and try to brighten your day. And I think for me, I've had to learn to turn off the news. I know it's happening. I'll pay attention every once in a while, but I'm not gonna be immersed in it like I once was. Yeah, and I like this too, Nicole, that these are doable things. I think I might have said this last time, but I'll say it again. A while back, I was talking to my mom, who's also not great at self-care. And so I said, Mom, how are you doing on your self-care things? And she's like, what, bathing? And I'm like, Mom, bathing, yes, but it's so much more than bathing. And I at least know what self-care is, and I know I'm not great at it. So anyway, please make sure that you're making that a priority. I love reading all the things that you guys have done this weekend. That's great. Keep taking care of yourself. Okay, so we'll have an update on the early learning standards, and I'll turn it over to Jamie.
Hi, everyone. How are you all? Jess, did you see Nicole's that she asked if you could send us the bingo card? So I was just checking that, but I just wanted to let you guys know as of Thursday, May 7th, and I know that Jessica sent it all out in an email, but it was amazing. We passed the full board on May 7th, but you guys don't quite understand how amazing this actually was. Health that had gone before us had sat there back and forth with amendments for 8 hours. Science, I think, had 7 hours. So there was a lot of back and forth, and we were able to walk in with the new revision process, and it was 8 minutes and 13 seconds, and it was done. So just so you all know, it was an amazing feat, and we cannot thank the writing committee enough for their willingness to take in board member feedback and just really do the job. So those are actually on the website now. They've been posted, well, Jessica's getting them posted on our website, yes.
So shortly,
and then I've
they'll be
also
posted on the website.
contacted our individual with UEN who will also post it there. And then I've been talking with our graphic designer today to get the cute version. So just so you know, you have the draft version. And as soon as we can get the cute version, we'll get that out to you guys as well. So just wanted to let you know that that's what happened with board.
Yeah,
And
we just
then
say too that it's like Jamie said, it was amazing, but it shows how far the state has come in regards to early childhood. We had one board member that she doesn't like standards as a whole, but she was very like supportive with us and like talking. She didn't vote for them initially at the end, but she did work with us a lot to make sure that, you know, that she felt like they fit 3 to 5 year olds best they could. But it was just really awesome to have a board that was accepting of our standards, saw them as developmentally appropriate, and that we weren't forcing anything on little kids that shouldn't be forced, and that, you know, it's important to prepare these kids for school. So it was just amazing and kind of represented the work that's been done over the last 2-3 years in the field to advocate that we're here, we exist, we do good things, and it was just awesome.
it was actually kind of fun to listen to that board member too, because she said these standards actually address the whole child. And I'm like, thank you, because that was our goal. So we just wanted to let you know that that's been released to the field. As you guys know, summer of 2020, the final document is anticipated to be released once we get the design. There is one thing that Jessica and I want to make you aware of. Because COVID-19 and because the state of Utah has also had to cut back on their finances, one of the areas that we were told we're going to cut down on in our department is printing. And so if you have anybody that is coming to a training, Jessica and I will be able to give them a manual, but we can't print it as a whole to hand out to everyone. We will contract, like UCI usually does our printing, and then I've also heard the Office Depot is a contract, so I've already talked to someone about getting a bid once that pretty version is done, so that we will be able to provide those to you at the district level at our cost, that you can get like the bulk rate if you wanted to print them for all of your teachers. But if you do have any coaches and or teachers that are going to be coming to our training that we'll be talking about, we will have a printed manual for them at that point. So I just wanted to kind of let you know that. And then UEN, Jessica has provided a link for that in your agenda. But if you guys wanted to click on, Jess, can you click on that really quick? And I will just show you, it hasn't been created yet, but like I said, I've talked with Lisa and she will be putting it on there for us. But kind of like what you'll see here, they have the 4 circles. There will be a 5th circle that will say early learning standards. And then so our standards, once you click on that, will be in there. But also the board will not approve activities anymore. So we have worked with the writing committee to have an activities and strategies page. And so we are continuing that work with them again tomorrow, but that when those get updated as well, we'll put those on the UEN page. So we wanted to let you know that they will be there, and that's how you'll find them. And then I noticed there was, okay. All right. And so then I wanted to let you know the next step, because we've got them approved, is standards implementation. And Jessica and I are working on what that looks like. But what we've come up with so far in listening to what you guys would like us to do is we're going to do training for the preschool coaches and or lead teachers for 4 days this year. Those dates are September 18th, October 30th, January 29th, and March 5th. That January 29th replaced the December 11th because looking at the survey, we were told that that wasn't a good day for most of the teachers. And so the Midas course registration information is listed right there. Those will be 4 days of in-depth training in the standards for your coaches so that they will be able to go back and implement them with your classroom teachers and give them more training. And then, so that's a little bit of different, or yeah, that's how that one is different. The standards kind of roadshow is what Jessica and I are kind of calling it, but that will be, Jessica and I will go around to 6 different regions, And in those regions, it will be a one-day overview training for any teachers that may want to come. And so it really is an overview. It's not an in-depth look like it will be with the coaches. But those we won't be able to provide manuals for because we can't predict how many people will be at those trainings. But wanted to let you know that we will be in the different regions, and there is a survey that we'll fill out at the end of this slide so that you guys can let us know which area would work best for which dates. And then for 2021, we will create a Canvas course for any teachers that are coming in new that would not have been able to attend either one of those trainings. So we just wanted to give you an update on that. And so there is the survey. If you guys could take 5 minutes and
so
complete that survey, that would be great.
the link I just put in the chat, but it's also on the agenda. And when you open it up, it looks like this. So if you guys can just fill that out real quick, that will help us know which area to do on which date.
And just they can't see the survey.
Did I forget to Did I forget to uncheck the button? Give me a moment. Are any of you being able to access? I swear I unchecked it. Gosh, too many windows on my screen. That dang permission. Why can't Google just read my mind? Okay, give me 2 seconds.
Jessica, I'm able to get into it.
Okay.
I clicked on it from the agenda and was able to get into it.
Yeah.
But some people may not.
On the agenda, you can, there's just a little pull down that comes up that you click again.
Okay, you all should be able to get there now. Let me know if there's still a problem. And we'll give you a couple minutes.
We just both really appreciate you taking the time to fill out the survey. It just helps us know which areas we should hit at what time and what works best for your schedules to get the most amount of people in attendance. And if you guys have any questions about the differences between the 2 different trainings or the 3 different trainings, let me know. And
And as we get a little bit closer to, we're gonna kind of outline really, like we've kind of touched on our vision for the three and how they differ, but we're gonna create something that can be a resource to you guys and your programs to know what the difference is between the three. Just wait for a few more minutes.
But we're hoping to kind of do as much as we can this school year for full implementation by fall of 2021. And I know that Jessica and I also pushed really hard to try to get those done before summer hit for any teachers or any program specialists that might want to look at the new standards before the school year started.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move on real quick. So some just additional information. Some of you might be familiar with listservs or mailing lists. We have had other specialists in teaching and learning have been utilizing them, and we've heard about them, but we've never had one. And so we were talking and decided that we wanted one. So we're going to have two. One of them is up and ready now. The other one will need to be adjusted, and I'll get you more information later on how to join that. But we're going to have a Utah preschool listserv, and this is kind of the same as the state preschool workshop in that anybody that works in the preschool space can join this listserv, whether they're an SLP or a aide, or, I mean, parents could join, I guess, if they really wanted to. That's not going to be who we're trying to get, but they're more than welcome if they want to, but your teachers especially. So a lot of times I send you guys emails and say, hey, make sure your staff gets this. And I'm not saying that's going to end, but we'll also send it through this. So I would encourage your teachers and your preschool staff to join this listserv. They can do so by just hitting, going to that link and filling out the short form. It's also on the agenda. And then I'll probably add it to our next newsletter. So if you guys will just keep an eye out for that. And then it'll also be nice because we're going to add like those that are in the private sector, private preschool programs and directors and assistants and all that will be there as well. So we can kind of have that unification in the preschool space. The roundtable one will be all of you that attend roundtable. Teresa, Jamie, and I all have our different contact groups, but we have to make sure every once in a while that everybody is on everybody's list. So this will be our way of just, we all have one list. We know that if we email the listserv that you'll all get it. So my assistant Kira is working on getting that one all figured out. So I will share that as soon as it's ready. So the preschool landscape survey I sent out a week or two ago in a separate email all by itself. It's kind of a longer survey, 10 to 15 minutes. As we've mentioned before, the board has a strategic plan, and one of those goals is early learning, and a strategy to achieve that goal is to increase access to optional high quality preschool. Teresa and I lead that strategy work, and Jamie's on our team. And as we've started this work, we've really realized that we really need to better understand our baseline in the state. Where are we starting? What programs exist? How are those programs functioning? So I attempted this when I started with like a Google form like 2 years ago, and some of you filled it out, and it's been a great resource for me to look at, but we had some other things in more detail, and we noticed that we also didn't get everybody's response. So I have linked that as well in the agenda. If you can make sure that you fill that out and get that back to us, that would be great. It's really important that you do so, because this data helps us decide where we need to go and helps us advocate for funding and helps us help you in the long run. So please make sure that that's a big old post-it on your to-do list to get done. We'd really appreciate that. I also mentioned the district share outs. So we've had, I think, 5 this last little bit, and they've been great. I really like it. I think it's great for you guys to hear what others are doing, and you really can learn from each other. You know, one might have had a focus on assessment and they've moved on from it or whatever, but then you're working on that project and you get to learn from their expertise and not start at square one, which is great. So on the agenda, I have put, let me grab it. The sign up sheet. So you can just go in here and feel free to put whatever, these are all our dates of next time. Kathy's on it. Thank you, Kathy. So just go in and put in what date you'd be willing to do your share out. I have realized the last couple times that, and this is totally my bad, that the template kind of got forgotten about. So this is the template that we utilize when we go to our SCAS conference 3 times a year and present with the other states. So this is also on Schoology, and it's on the Google Drive. So, and feel free to make it as cute as you want. Like, you don't have to keep the boring blue if you don't want to, but just keep the topics. I want you to stick to around 10 minutes. So again, celebrating your progress, what you've been doing, what you're excited about, where you can give help and get help, and then something you're excited to learn from your colleagues. And if you want to add a little bit of extra things just about your program that you feel like there's something big that's not covered in that, feel free. But again, kind of like this is where you need to start and then move on from there. If you have done one and you didn't follow this template and you want to do another one, feel free to join. I'm not going to make you though, because that was my bad in not communicating the template. I think I shared it once and then it got lost in a folder, so I don't think it was easy to find. But I've tried to repair that. So feel free to sign up again if you want to follow that template, but you don't have to. Okay.
Nanette's question about the survey, when do we want it in by? We're hoping before the end of the month, right? Is that
that would be great.
So before
a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I think we talked about keeping it open for a month. We'll come up with an end date and send that out as with a reminder to do the landscape survey. But yeah, and again with that, and I said this in the original email, but it's essential that the data that we get from that is accurate. So if you have a question on how to answer a certain thing, please don't guess. Feel free to give us a call, and Teresa and I will guide you through it. Jamie helped too, but Teresa and I are guiding the work. So feel free to give us a call and we'll help answer those questions. Or if you fill it out and later you're like, oh, I totally did that wrong, let us know, because we can have our colleague delete your entry and you can go in and redo it so that it's accurate, because again, that's gonna drive everything we do. So
yes, thank you everyone for filling that out. We really appreciate it. This is gonna help us a lot. Okay.
Jamie, are you ready to take over? She's muted.
But I am here, but I am ready.
You are ready.
And I apologize, I keep turning my camera off. I've got allergies or something going on today. And so I keep sneezing. So I apologize that I keep like turning my camera off. So I just wanted to let you guys know also, as part of the possible budget cuts, we have had to refine some of our professional development that we were already planning on adding. But we also just wanted to let you know that there may be further changes. One of those big changes was to the language and literacy professional development. And so I wanted to let you know that we've decided to cut the northern region. It had the lowest amount of enrollment. And so we have cut that in, we've cut that section altogether. And we will be doing the Sandy section. We will do September 18th will be a training day. October 22nd will be like a teacher learning community where we get to share out what they've learned. And then on October 23rd, it will be a specific coaches training with the presenter. And so we had to cut the coaching days that she was going to go look at the different programs. So then I've asked her to beef up that training specifically for coaches and what they should look at when they're looking at language and literacy and how it's incorporated in classrooms. The one thing that I wanted to let you know is that even if you haven't signed up for this professional development, but you have coaches that you think would benefit from that specific training that may not have the background, have them contact me and I will get them signed up for that specific coaching day on October 23rd. And then the St. George dates, that September 16th date changed from, is the only date that we had to change. I tried to keep every other date consistent with what we already had with the training. So I just wanted to let you know that September 16th date has changed. I believe it used to be the 18th. But instead of having her travel in on different, like fly in for one day, then fly back out, that's how we incorporated that. But every other date we have kept the same. So that is the enrollment. I also wanted to let you know, though, in St. George, we still have, in Sandy, it's pretty full. There's not much room for more people to join that group, but there is still room available down in the St. George area. So if you have any coaches that are down there or any teachers that want to join, please have them sign up through that Midas course. And if they sign up now, they can contact me and I can get them the previous information that was shared. And then I also wanted to let you guys know, Jessica and Teresa and I have also been working on CDA classes and providing that at the state level. And what that looks like, there is a place called Quorum eLearning that provides online learning modules. So they can watch videos and earn their 120 hours worth of service. It encourages, while they're doing those hours in the 8 different content areas, that they develop their portfolio. And then at the state level, if budgeting allows us to, we're trying to provide some assistance with the council fees, because it's also right now $425 for them to go in and take that test. So we're trying to see what we can do as far as applying or helping with that and assist as possible. But we will cover the course. We will have 2 cohorts of 30 individuals. So if you have any paraprofessionals right now that you can see have the potential of becoming lead teachers, as you have, because we all understand that the turnover in the preschool section is also still pretty high. And so if you have any of those lead teachers that you want to obtain their CDA, will you please have them sign up for this Quorum eLearning? And the applications for that will be coming soon. And as far as the CDA renewals, we're also looking into that, Lorene. We're not sure with our budget right now if it's possible, but it is something that Jessica and I do have on our minds as something that we want to try to provide in the future. Do you guys have any other questions on any of that professional development? So Kathy, with those CDA applications, it's something that Jessica and I are going to try to get out by the end of the month.
Yeah, we're gonna meet with we have a strategy team. It's Teresa, Jamie, I, and our colleague Jimmy. So we'll have another meeting in the next few weeks to start working on that application and getting that out.
And Brittany, thank you for offering that for Lorene. Okay, then I also wanted to let you guys know that we are, Jessica and I have just finished up the letters training that we had done, and now we want to do a train the trainers. And so for those individuals that were willing to continue on with the training, we're going to do that training in September, and they have been notified via email what those training dates are. So you have had some coordinators and also some coaches that are willing to get that training. The expectation of those trainers, we will provide that, or they will then become trainers that will be asked to provide that training at the district level for your district. And then if there are other neighboring districts that want to participate in that training, they will need to contact that trainer to come up with some sort of contract or how that training will work on that end. And then we are also, if funding allows us to, we want to be able to provide some district support for that, because there is, if you have teachers that are going through that training, there is an online module and a book. So that's what the book looks like. And then there's an online fee that they have to pay for the online class. And so Jessica and I have also come up with a way that we can provide support for that contingent upon our budget approval. And then we also wanted to remind you, there is a coaching training. So Katie Hill has joined our agency, and she is providing the Educational Institute or instructional coaching endorsement. And there is a meeting tomorrow from 2 to 2:30 for any of those that are interested to see if they themselves as coaches and or directors have anybody that you would like to support through that training. There was an email that had gone out. If you need more information on that, please let us know in the chat box and we'll add that information. It went out through an email. And then we also wanted to let you know, as I'm sure you've already heard, but the Standards Implementation Institute that was going to occur this summer in the 7 different regions has been postponed until 2021. And that training tomorrow is from 2 to 2:30. Leanne?
Teresa, you're on.
Hey everyone. I get to come on and talk about all this fun stuff you have to do by the end of the year, all your data. So no surprise here, but I'm going to tag something on what Jamie was just finishing up with, trainings. As you know, I've done the building blocks training around the state, and I do have some books that if I forgot to give it to Jessica and Jamie to put on that slide. I just thought of it. But if you'd like to have me come out and do a building blocks training, I can adjust it for as long as you'd like and provide the new build. There's a new book that's out, and provide that one per class, per classroom. Just let me know. Send me an email and we can set something up. I know it's strange. We don't know what training is going to be like, but I could also do this online. So just something to think about, just throwing that out there. Building blocks. And if you're not aware of building blocks, it's basically what I call it is a tiered model for preschool. So in the other ages, we're talking, school age, you're talking about your tier 1, your tier 2, tier 3, and different strategies and what you're doing and taking data and how you're determining students. Very similar, this is a model that's been developed for preschool and giving some tier 1 support that you have a really great program. Tier 2, some supports you can give students just within the classroom. All students can use those to engage in the environment and the curriculum. And tier 3, some more direct support for working maybe on IEP goals for some students. And so there's some great materials on how to set up a classroom that way, and then also some strategies on taking data. So happy to do that, and the new modules that came out with it are really great with the new book. So side note, I guess that's the what do you call, like the advertisement ad right here, that little we're taking a break here, throwing that in. But anyway, back to data. So as you know, fun times right now. UPODs. So I've received a lot of questions if you need to complete exit scores. Right now, all of these that I'm talking about right now, you see in the agenda, we call it indicators. So there's 3 preschool indicators we report to OSEP, or the Office of Special Education Programs, under the feds on that side. And the 3 of them are, the first one is environment codes for your students in preschool, and we're trying to up the number of students that are receiving services in an inclusive regular education program. And we're doing great with that, by the way. So I want to give a shout out to Jessica and Jamie for all their work of trying to get funding out to your programs, and then to all of you to increase programs for students with disabilities that are in the regular education environment code, which means more students without IEPs. So great work on that. So each year, so that one is done on Scrum. So that one was done, it will be done again. So the next two indicators, so that's called indicator 6. And indicator 7 is UPODs, what we call UPODs. In the national level, it's called the Child Outcome Summary, or COSE. So when you look at some of the materials I send out, it might say COSE, or Child Outcome Summary, but we call it UPODs. So UPODs exit scores need to be done for students exiting preschool services. So any of the students, usually they're going on to kindergarten. So you're getting that data into UPODs this year. It could also be for students that have moved or are no longer qualified for preschool special education services. That's what you do UPODs with. Only for students on IEPs, and only for students in preschool. It doesn't really matter so much about the age if they're receiving preschool services. So as you know, exit scores need to be done by June 30th. This is so we can look at those and start getting ready for our report when we report on how we're doing this for the feds on our OSEP report. So UPOD's exit scores done by June 30th. I had a question and sent in, and was really great, about entry scores. So if you had students start during this online COVID, and it was a great question of, are you doing entry scores for students that are starting, that you just finished IEPs on? And the answer to that is pretty basic. You have to do entry and exit scores for any student that is receiving special education preschool services. So if there is an IEP developed and you're providing services for a student during this time, could be online, could be however you're doing it, you would need to do entry scores for students entering preschool services during this time. So you may have some students that work on this, unless, yeah, thanks Terry in your comment, unless they'll be participating less than 6 months or going to kindergarten, either one. So if they're going to be in your program less than 6 months, you might not know because they just started. And Jessica just put up her, email. I was like, what? So yeah, even if you're not sure if they're going to be participating, if you expect them to come back in the fall, enter scores. If they transfer to another LEA, we can easily transfer to another LEA or unlock records. I can do that at the state level, so just give me a call. So entry scores, if they're receiving services, exit scores when their services end. And those exit scores need to be done as close to the date they're exiting services as possible. We like 4 weeks. That's what our manual said. So that's why giving you a little push till June 30th on UPODs. And yes, Debbie Jensen, thank you. You guys are great on these timelines. Entry scores need to be entered within 60 days, correct? Because you want to have that as a baseline, as close as their start date as you can. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time when we're not in this COVID situation, but when they're in the classroom, you might want to take a couple weeks and observe along with the data. Or you could take it if you have a strong assessment and you have an assessment team to look at the data at the IEP and decide entry scores. But yes, within 60 days. And one thing I want to plug, both entry and exit scores should be done in a team situation using assessment data from a variety of perspectives. So, so if possible, try to get the assessment data, get a team somehow online, work on getting this information, especially if kids are with their parents right now. I can include parents in deciding this. I believe I sent out a lot of materials and helping to complete UPOD scores, or the materials were our national support, so they said child outcome summaries, that you can have questions, you can talk with parents and try to look at scores. You can share that with teachers. So UPODs, yes, we still need to take that data, entry and exit right now, and that's indicator 7. Before I move on to Teddy, any questions on UPODs? Okay, let me know if you have anything with that comes up. Now, Teddy, as you may have heard, I sent out, I forwarded an email that our assistant superintendent for student support, Leah Voorhees, sent out to special education directors. And you may have seen in the news too that Betsy DeVos sent out recommendations to some of the IDEA special ed requirements for waivers, and the only one that she recommended basically that we're talking about here is that Part C to Part B transition. She can't offer a waiver. This is something that has to go through Congress. And so she can recommend to Congress. And right now we're not sure when they're going to decide. I'm on a national call every week with the Early Childhood Technical Assistance Center, ECTA, and getting new information all the time of what's happening. And they include on that call some of the executive director of the national state special education directors, it's called NASD, but include like these two organizations are working and they're talking with Congress and figuring out what will be required of states. Are we going to have a waiver? There was in that recommendation. So again, recommendation. It's only a recommendation right now. But her recommendation was that students can continue to receive Part C services, even though they're 3, until an IEP can be developed. But Part C couldn't use their Part C funds because the kid's over 3, so you could use different pot of funding. So even if that happens, there's a lot that has to work out of how even to manage all that funding. So right now, it's a recommendation. We're waiting to see where this goes with Congress, and we're also waiting for transition guidelines and guidance from OSEP. So we need first to know if this does pass. They don't know when Congress will decide on this. There's nothing yet set. As soon as there is, I'll let you know. But OSEP has to figure out how to implement these transition requirements. So right now, as you know, and this is indicator 12, we call it TEDdy because that's the system we use, but all kids leaving Part C, so early intervention, birth to 3 services, have to have an IEP in place by their 3rd birthday if they qualify for special education services, which is hard with like everything going on in assessments. And I know you've done some really creative work in your districts of figuring out how to meet with families and do transition meetings and assessments. It's creative, but right now, just keep doing what you're doing. There's no flexibility right now. I'm just looking at my notes from my last national call. So no flexibility. So we're waiting to see what flexibility we have in reporting this, and want to make sure it's a smooth transition for families. So it still needs congressional approval, and we don't know when or even if they will decide to grant the waiver. So there could be some possibility of different ways we're reporting this. So how that applies to us, it's coming, we don't know. I'll send you an information. So now just keep doing what you're doing. Work with your special ed directors. That's often when you call me or ask me, that's the first thing I say is talk to your special ed director, because it might be different in your area. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. So it's not something we're issuing out on the state, but work with your special ed director of how to work with families during this and what your Department of Health requirements are with families and testing and stuff. So on that, and then on the question from Kim right here, which is great, what should you put in TEDdy if you can't complete? There's not a great choice for COVID. So document in the LEA comments, and then decide with your special ed director what you're gonna put for the reason. So it's not something we're giving state guidance right now on what reason for families. If you set up an appointment and the family doesn't want to do it, it could be a reason that the child was not made accessible, however we say that. That was something that came up on the national call, or it could just be unable to complete. Work with your special ed director of what to put there, but definitely in the comments, put COVID, and then we can look for that. And I'm gonna pull it up on my computer just so I can, I have to log in again. Let me pull up on my computer here. So you have the reason for delay on eligibility and IEP, additional testing attributed to the LEA summer birthday, transferred in late, transition meeting delayed, and you could use the other attributed to your LEA or attributed to parent. There are a few others there, and it could be, there really isn't a great one, that's why I'm saying that, but you have moved out of district, no response, rescheduled due to parent, could be one if that seems appropriate with your special ed director, what to use there. Let me get back to Zoom. I know that's not great. We're gonna have to look through the data to look at how this is affecting us. So on the eligibility one, should we put a date? In Teddy, you do have to put a date in order to get the reasons to pop up. So the date would be when you contacted the family about an evaluation. Yeah, and Nicole, so contact the family about an evaluation, or you tried to set up an evaluation, use that as your eligibility date. It's not necessarily the eligibility date, but you're not going to be able to pull up a reason unless you put a date there. So use that one. And then Nicole, yeah, if you use other and then document the comment box, that works as well. And we might be changing these after we get more direction. There might be we might be able to add something, I don't know, from once we have more information from OSEP. They'll tell us, so Congress will decide, and then OSEP will interpret on what we need to do. So I'll send that out. And so if anywhere we can say COVID, then if there's a change, we need to go in and look at these records, we can do that. So it's basically do the best you can. We want to support families and make the smooth transition, but we know that assessment's not always possible. I had a question earlier about using Part C or early intervention data, their assessment data, to determine eligibility. And that can be part of an eligibility decision if the data is current, a current reflection on the child's skills. But you also want to include, you don't want to have only Part C data deciding Part B eligibility. Just, it gets in that like gray, like kind of iffy area that Part C is deciding if a child is Part B eligible. You can use some, but you really want to include some type of your own assessment data to decide Part B and make it a Part B decision. So kind of a tricky time right now, but one thing I want to add, oh, if you go back once more, Jessica, sorry on that, thank you. All the students that transition from Part C to Part B for all last school year, I need that data by June 30th, updated in Teddy. So many of you have done the IEPs and just haven't put the IEP date into Teddy. That's fine, the IEP isn't late. We just need that date and that data in Teddy so I can pull reports and look at how many late files we'll have, and we'll figure out what we're gonna do. Usually if there's a late file, I do a monitoring visit. I don't know if that's gonna change, but I'll keep you updated on that if we have some flexibility with this requirement. But so Teddy, have all those IEP dates from this last school year in Teddy by the end of June. Okay, that was a lot of like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Any other questions or comments on that?
We're just all seeking answers and no one has them.
Yeah.
to be around.
And our ECTA and NASD, the state special ed directors, national organization, they do a lot of lobbying and a lot of work with Congress. So they were kind of upset with the OSEP decision. They wanted they didn't want necessarily waivers, but a little more flexibility in some of the requirements on all the indicators, all the reporting. So maybe, I mean, it was just recommended by the Department of Ed. So maybe Congress will change, we don't know. We'll find out. So exciting times, right? So thank you for all you're doing and supporting families with that transition. We're just doing the best we can. This last slide here that I have is the ECTA Center. Is where all the topics are. So if you, Jessica, could you click on that link? They have a special page here for the coronavirus or COVID-19, and they're updating this daily with materials. I have a call weekly with them. And this first bullet that says FAQ regarding the delivery of IDEA early childhood services, I may have sent this out too, but it's the latest information on serving students early childhood services during this time, and it's been vetted by OSEP. So if you're looking for information on early childhood and rules and stuff like that, if you just go to the ECTA page and just click on COVID-19 at the top, you'll end up on that coronavirus COVID page, and just has a lot of information right there. on providing remote services. And ECTA supports both Part C and Part B, so you'll see resources for Part C and for Part B. Okay. Any questions you have related that I could possibly answer or say I don't know for special education? One thing we're telling directors out of our office too, and you've probably heard this as well, document everything, document the services, just document it all. Prior written notice, document, yeah, the services. We'll figure out in the fall what's going to happen with student services. We'll receive more information from OSEP, which will come from your special ed directors, but document it all. And thank you for saying that, the nice comments right here. I really appreciate that, because sometimes you're like, well, we're not sure what's happening, but I'll be definitely sending out more information as we get more.
Teresa,
yeah, go ahead, Leanne.
this is Leanne Parkinson. I just had a question. We've had quite a few webinars that have been part of our professional development from NACI and different early childhood programs. And in these national recommendations, they're telling people that you may have to have classes less than 10 people, or you may have to stagger days or times. And we're just wondering, has that been talked about in our state? And if so, how would that affect, like grant and all of those kind of things? So
yeah, big question.
And you're like on to the next slide. That's what we're going to talk about.
Oh, really? Well, we have, yeah, I'll let you go ahead.
You can go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, we really don't have an answer. Even Superintendent Dixon, as far as like us going back to the office, has said like, I don't even know. And she's on the coronavirus task force. So there hasn't been any like solid guidance on like what phase we're going to be in when school starts or this and that. But Tara had actually called me and asked if we could add this to the agenda. So in conversations with your guys' health departments and your school districts, have you guys heard anything on the district level, because we're not hearing anything on the state level, about planning for, like if we're in the orange phase, what does our classroom models look like compared to normal functioning? Are your districts planning on going right now, just hoping that things will be back to normal and we're just going to run normal in August, or are they thinking of some other options? And feel free to unmute your mic. And
our district has made some recommendations, but they are just kind of planning ahead, and there's all kinds. There's some where some students, and this is K through 12, but where they would start half day coming in the morning while the other students are online, and then reverse that. There's some that say they would go every other day. There are some that say we would just start online in the fall and then hope that we can be in person. So we haven't got any. They're just kind of trying to think ahead so that we can wrap our heads around it, so we don't all freak out once it happens.
Yeah, I like in the chat box, Emily said we're coming up with plans A, B, C, D, and Z, which is pretty much, I think, what we do have to come up with is what of all of these, what are these looking like? And people are mentioning the childcare guidelines. Those are probably a good resource to look at, because they had to get on that right when everything closed down, because we still needed childcare for our essential employees. And so they had some specific guidance on what those classrooms could look like in order to keep the virus at bay. So keep a lookout on the USBE page. We'll, of course, notify you when any official decision is made. But I would kind of, look at, just do some research and see, how childcare is doing it, how other programs are doing it, and or what restrictions they have in place, and kind of brainstorm what your services might look like if you had to follow a similar model. And then hopefully you're prepared when we decide what we're doing. Teresa, there's a chat about, has there been any talk of extended school year?
ESY, extended school year for special education, that actually was talked about in our recent special ed director meeting. So I talked with your special ed director on that. We had our Nate, we had a few people share what we're hearing on the national level about ESY versus ESY still has to be provided for students that qualify for ESY services. That's just a requirement of the law, IDEA. And so how you do that, that would be something you talk with your special ed director. It's different than compensatory education for students that didn't receive it. So didn't receive all their services. There's talk about how to support them. That's something you're just going to have to talk with your LEA, your special ed director, and look at what you need to do and how you're going to provide ESY services for students that qualify for those, that have it on their IEP and qualified. It's one of those services that has to be provided. I hope that helps. And Leanne says they're doing a virtual ESY and possibly July in buildings. Wow. Yeah, and that's why it's so different. Your health department is determining what can be done in each area of the state. And that's why we're referring a lot to your LEA, your special ed director, which ultimately is also looking at your health department.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a bad idea to contact them and kind of maybe get a clearer idea for the preschool space on what do they imagine the limitations might be for those phases, and then for different phases, and then you can have those phases and bring them back to your team and kind of determine, okay, this is what our preschool plan is for these phases with following these, proposed restrictions that might not be finalized, but might have an idea, so you might be able to do that. Tammy Chu says, we're currently virtual and with plans to go one-to-one, then small group if they're able to. So yeah, I think, just you guys are doing amazing things. Like, I know that this is not fun for anybody, especially when you have these restrictions, these like requirements that you're trying to meet for these kids, especially the kids on IEPs, and trying to make sure that, you're meeting the requirements. So just know that, like, we appreciate the heck out of you guys. And I know it's not easy, especially when we're like, we don't have answers for you. We don't like being in that place, but no one on the planet right now has answers for us. So we all have to be in that space of just living with the unknown and being prepared as best we can. But I really think your health department is going to be the ones that they're the experts on this virus. They're the experts on how it's being handled in your area. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is continue and have frequent conversations with them. And if you guys, as you kind of do that and as you come up with different models, it might not be a bad idea to have you guys, if you want to, like, send me a chart of like, okay, this is like, when we're in red, this is how we're functioning. When we're in orange, this is how we're functioning. And when we're in green, this is how we're functioning. And we can have a folder of all of those so that you guys can compare and see, okay, Park City has these restrictions and this is how they're going to handle it. Jordan has these, but they're doing it a little differently, so that you guys can kind of learn from each other, because we have brilliant minds all in this group. And if we can use each other, that's going to be very, very helpful. So,
and you can also put that on Schoology if you
yeah,
have something you'd like to share it there too.
Yeah, I've been trying to use both, just because there's sometimes where I store stuff on Google that I can't put on Schoology. So I'm trying to put it in both places, but I will send that to you guys so that you're clear on that. Any additional questions or concerns that you want to discuss?
I have a question on the professional development funds that you guys have talked about that we can use from the general funds. The early learning plan, is that what it's from? And does it only include for certified staff or also for CDA staff? My special ed director wanted me to ask. She's just not sure where the funds.
Are you talking about HB 114?
I'm not sure. Tell me what funds we can use for professional development for preschool.
Well, the professional development that we're talking about and that we're waiting on budget is really just we have a teaching and learning budget as specialists that we provide that PD to you guys. We're not sure on how much of that budget is going to be able to stick around this year due to COVID. There also was, the only thing I can think that she's talking about is HB 114, which was like, I can't think what it's called right now, but it's for early intervention. It's for early education, early childhood and there was some PD money, and they had, I think like 150,000 that we were going to either, you know, determine if we were going to let that open to districts for grants for them to kind of run their own PD, or if we would offer something as a state that people could offer. But that money is probably, I'm not feeling very confident about that money because that was new this session, and so that's very likely to be taken back due to COVID. So if she's talking about that bill. But as far as everything that we have planned that we talked about today, that's just determined about our personal budget in teaching and learning.
Okay. Well, what you guys presented, there's some good things for sure. So
Yeah,
I
we
just
have
didn't
some,
know, like with
ahead.
special ed funds, if we could, well, I mean, we can always use some of that too, but okay.
Yeah.
That helps. Thank you.
Yep. TSSA funding, I did email him, and I think we're going to move forward with the December 1st count. And then I asked him how you guys could talk about if like the December 2019 count wasn't accurate, how you can go about that. I didn't hear back on him on that, so I will bug him again. So there's that. Anything else? Didn't mean to. Before we go, I did want to take a second and have Penny introduce herself, and Christy. I haven't heard back from Christy, but Christy, if you're up for it, to introduce yourself. They are new directors. Penny is replacing Debbie Jensen in Iron, and Christy will be replacing Gina in Tooele. So Penny, if you want to take a second and introduce yourself to the group, that'd be awesome.
Okay, I'm Penny Seeley, and this year I'll be completing my 14th year of teaching, but it's my second year in preschool. So last year was my first year in preschool, and yeah, so I'm really excited. I have taught from preschool now all the way up to 3rd grade, so that's the range I've been with kids. So anything else? I've been in Iron County pretty much the whole time. I taught 1 year in Arizona.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. Welcome to the group. And it's good to talk to everybody. Christy, I don't know if you can unmute, introduce yourself, or if you're nearby, you'd be okay doing that.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Christy Opeta. I've been working in Tooele School District that's 2005. I started in Washington County. I worked down there for a year. My background is in special education, and I've taught everything from kindergarten through 8th grade. I've got a lot to learn. That's what I'm a little bit overwhelmed with all this information today, and I know there's so much more to take in, and I'm just really excited for the challenge.
We're happy to have you, and I think preschool is a little bit overwhelming space for the beginning, but it's awesome. We're doing great things here, and especially the last couple of years, we've seen a big change. And this is your resource for help. So feel free for future meetings. If you have any questions, we can throw it on the agenda and talk about it here. Or if you have a question that you'd like me to send out to everybody, we can do that between the meetings. The Schoology is a great place to be, so you can add comments there. There's a link to that on the agenda. So if you have any questions about that, let us know. Jamie just remind me about Nan's comment about the TSSA. They should be sending stuff out to your district finance people about TSSA for preschool, because I asked if I needed to send out that information, and they said nope, like it will be covered and it should be coming to them. So that won't be coming through me, but it'll come through the finance channel. So look for that. Anything else? Again, you guys are stellar. Like, none of you went to school and learned how to deal with COVID. None of your teachers did. And we're all just trucking along, doing our best. And from what we've heard as a preschool team, like amazing things are happening, and your teachers are doing amazing jobs. And families are loving it, and you've truly made lemonade out of lemons. So give yourself a pat on the back, and please, please, please have a great summer. Wrap this year up, take a deep breath, give yourself a break, and get prepared for next year. And we're so, I love having this position and being able to support you guys. And I know Teresa and Jamie feel the same. So it's such a pleasure to know you and work with you. And as always, let us know if there's anything we can do to support you guys.
Yes, thanks, Jessica. I ditto everything she said. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Okay, and I'll post this recording everywhere. You'll see it in case you want to go back and reference anything. Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya. Have a great time. Great summer.